Welcome to my channel to everyone who's new here, and of course for those of you who are back again, great to have you here. In this video we are going to look over SUI, Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. So let's just jump into SUI. So we have said about SUI that once we break it here to the upside, we got our retest long. Then we got here another breakout retest into $4.25.7. Here was the first take profit area. Afterwards we have said, okay, then we should see a consolidation with a breakout. But afterwards, what did we develop? So let me take this one out, this one too, and this one too, and here this one too. So we didn't just had a trend line on the chart with several touch points. We also had here a double top pattern, which broke to the downside, got its retest, follow through. We also had a fair value gap between $4.13 to $4.09. We closed it partly with this push here. So basically, I'm out of the trade. I took my first trade right here, where I've set a limit order. Once I saw several candles as a breakout, then I put automatically a limit order a bit over $3.80. Afterwards, position size increasement once we broke the $4.04 to the upside. $4.25 was the first target, so a bit out of the trade, taking profits. And what I've done afterwards is I saw this breakout, this retest. I counted this as a retest. I increased my position size even more because that was the plan. But I set my stop loss afterwards when I saw this trend line lower. So basically I got out with a stop loss in profits. So first take profit was set here. And the second, which is a stop loss, but also it was a stop loss in profits, similar to where I took profits. Now we have to see what is going to happen, because the sell-off is not looking good in my opinion, and the whole structure as well. We don't see that kind of structure for the major coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP and Solana. But SUI, Avalanche and HBAR have the same setup. They all are within a rising wedge. Bitcoin is also in a rising wedge, but the rising wedge of Bitcoin is far more bigger, and we have much more space to the downside to trigger that pattern. The altcoins are pretty close to it. I think Bitcoin is 7% away, and the altcoins are 6% away. And also keep in mind, if Bitcoin drops 2, 3, 4%, the altcoins are dropping 8, 9, 10%. So what I want to show you guys is this rising wedge. So if we break it to the downside, which is currently the price mark of $3.71, then we should drop to $3.56. Once we break the $3.56, 58 to the downside, which is the red support trend line right here, then I'm going to enter a short trade, because then I think the sell-off is going to be a lot. So let's move on to Avalanche. What I've also forgot to say is that most coins, like also SUI, is in the oversold area. So we can expect a bounce soon. Anyway, if we go to Avalanche, then you can see the same setup. And what I've done is I have that rising wedge. Instead of taking the maximum target, which is the spread of the end of the rising wedge, I took the mid-range target. So it's not that bearish. But if we break it to the downside, which is currently the price mark of round about $24 US, then we should see the roundabout $20 mark again. So if we also look here for Avalanche, the plan was actually to sell off again into the fair value gap, which we have right here. And from here, see our push into the 26 $26.80. We also have seen here a fake breakout. Here it was long to me with the stop loss lower than the lows here. I got stopped out. Can happen. We are speculating. So if I see Avalanche getting again over the $26.85, here's the price mark, then I would enter a long trade again and try it a second time, where I see a breakout and a retest similar to this one right here. But in this time, I want to see a higher breakout. So a breakout which is over the top right here. Then I want to see the retest, and then I'm in for the retest for this push. Because if we just get a similar breakout like this, then this can also be a double top pattern. And we can still sell off. That's why I want to see a breakout over the previous top. So I can take this one out of the chart as well. Didn't work 100% like planned, but this was also speculation. Our long trade we wanted to do once we break the $26.88 to the upside. So what about HBAR? Also HBAR, big rising wedge. This one here. So if it breaks to the downside, which is the cross, I would take the cross here between the green trend line and the orange trend line. That's currently 25.88 cents. If that breaks to the downside, then we should see prices falling down to 16.3 cents. The whole trade for HBAR worked very good and it was very precise, even though we didn't get into the maximum extension. So down here we have set falling wedge, and we also saw the price going into that area when we were somewhere here. Here we have said we should sell off in the lower part of the bull flag, because the market situation was the chances of getting into the lower part was very high. From there we should see a nice push, and once we break the bull flag to the upside, which we have done here, got our retest, then we should look for prices getting first into the top right here on your left, which is the 30-cent price mark. And if we also break it to the upside, there I want to take profits at 30 cents. And if we are seeking for higher prices, then the area between 32 cents to 34 cents is going to be my maximum target. And yeah, the stop loss was right here, but we took profits. So the stop loss was also, since we are in a trade far earlier, the stop loss was already in profits, and HBAR was a very profitable trade. If I didn't get the entry right here, then I could have got it right here in the lower part where I've seen support. That's what I've said. Afterwards, 25.7 cents. If they break to the upside, did right here. We got our retest, increasement of position size. Here we got another breakout with the retest of support and the bull flag, position size increasement. So we had many chances getting into a trade or increasing our position size for the push into the 30 cents. Then I took out 50% out of the trade to minimize my risk, and the rest walked into my stop loss. So basically this worked. So I don't want to be too bearish for HBAR at the moment. Might be also possible, but I don't see it at the moment, that this can also form like an falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern, which afterwards breaks to the upside. And then I can look for another long position into the purple box. But for now, I don't see it. But it looks like that we are going to form something like this. Also here we are in the oversold area. We have on the 1 hour chart, not even a bullish divergence, but we can still build one. So what can happen is, for SUI, we went very low. So SUI RSI is somewhere here. Yeah, we can compare it with each other. So you can see it. SUI is right here. HBAR is a bit over it. What I can imagine is that SUI is going to develop a bullish divergence a bit earlier than HBAR. For HBAR, I think we get our correction to the upside, which should cool down the RSI. Afterwards, we should sell off again, and then we have to see if this is going to be a higher low, then it's a bullish divergence, or if we sell off lower than the lows here, right here, and we form afterwards our bullish divergence. That can mean that we are getting a lower low than this one. It can mean that from here we sell off. We have lower lows in the chart, higher lows in the RSI, bullish divergence. And if we afterwards see a breakout, for example, of a falling wedge, then this can be also a profitable trade for HBAR. So the key levels here, 25.88 cents. And to the upside, I don't have one. I need to wait. So Dogecoin is a bit different. Also here we have seen a fake out move. In this case, I didn't like the breakout at all because we just had one candle close over the 24.5 cents. I always want to see a few more candle closes with a retest. That's what Avalanche gave me. For example, like here, we had one candle close over it, a second candle close over it, a third candle close over it, a fourth, and we got 2 times a retest. So here it was to me clear that we should get higher prices. We still didn't get any kind of higher prices. So this can also happen. But for Dogecoin, I didn't see it at all. For Dogecoin, it looked more like I have to wait a bit more because it can also be a fake out. And even Avalanche got me in losses. So and the breakout of Avalanche was far more better in my opinion than for Dogecoin. That's why I waited a bit longer for a push, and then I want to see the retest, and then I would be long. So anyway, head and shoulders formatation. We still have more downside potential, even though if we get a bounce here, it can also just cool down the RSI and we can still sell off with a higher low, a bullish divergence in the RSI, but we get a lower low in the chart. And it also fits a bit to me that we have that head and shoulders formatation, which with a downtrend line. So if we expand that trend line a bit more, then you can see that over the time, and we are on the 1 hour chart. So today is 28 July. So in 24 hours, we are going to be here with the trend line, 21.7 cents. And another 24 hours, we should be in the fair value gap. And I think that we are going to close that fair value gap once we see that kind of structure. A cool down in the RSI, a bounce in the chart. And then we are going to form a bullish divergence in the RSI, which should get us a lower low in the chart to this one. And then we can fish the fair value gaps and seek for higher prices. It's just a matter of time in my opinion. So in 3 days, this trend line is going to be right here at the fair value gap and we can close it right here. Or we are going to close it in the next few hours or tomorrow. And then we are going to get a long wick into the fair value gap and from there a quick buy up in form of, for example, a V-shaped recovery. Why V-shaped recovery? Because that looks like a V. So we sell off quick and we get a buy up very quick. V-shaped recovery. So what would I look for? This was a bullish scenario while even getting a lower low. If we don't get it, if we just push, then I would wait for the breakout over 24.5 cents, but this time I want to see a higher high than the previous one. Means a nice push, retest, long, and then look for this push. As long as we don't break the 21.7 cents sustainable to the downside, we don't have to think about a bearish scenario. But once it breaks sustainable to the downside, so what we have here is a breakout retest, follow through, that's sustainable. On the other hand, breakout, retest, follow through. Then I see prices even getting down to 18.6 cents. Why 18.6 cents? Because we have here support. So the current market situation is a bit unclear at the moment, and I remember that from the past. We had it like 3 months ago, where chart patterns didn't work 100% correct. It didn't went well. Then we have a longer time period where everything goes very good. And with Elite Wave, I can tell you, someone who's doing Elite Wave would say we are currently in a wave 4. And this kind of market situation is a bit weird, because we get a long and boring consolidation with many fake outs, and it just takes time. It's not impulsive. It's also not a wave 2. So if we just look, like I'm not into Elite Wave, to be honest, but you can see how fast we pushed here. Then maybe this was here a wave 2 or something, so it was more impulsive. Wave 3 is the most impulsive one, and wave 4 is just a consolidation within a longer time period before we get into wave 5, which would be this one. So with that said, I didn't want to irritate you with Elite Wave. For Elite Wave you have to go and look for a different YouTube channel. That's not what I'm doing. But I hope that I gave you some valuable information with this update, and we talk about Render, Tau, Kaspa and ONDO in the next video.